begin. All right, let's make a formal introduction for our listeners. Good afternoon, guys. My name is Claudia. I'm calling you from Washington, D.C., from the studios in Fairfax City. We were very humble and grateful that TrancEnd accepted our invitation to our show. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, let's go back to the beginning. Were any of you, well, all of you, perhaps born in a musical family, or how were you when you perhaps began taking, I don't know, piano lesson or guitar lesson? Or...
Well, actually, it's a good place to start. Our parents actually used to be professional musicians. They played in a band together. That's how they met.
Yeah.
So we're all originally, our family's from Michigan. So they had their band. They did like top 40 stuff, and they played all over like Metro Detroit area.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It was never like a thing that was forced on us. We kind of picked up music on our own.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, through the game Guitar Hero, we just thought that was we thought that was like the coolest thing. And then we asked them like, can we have like a real guitar?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's where that really all kind of began for us musically.
Yep. What kind of music were you listening when you were, I don't know, in high school? You were, I don't know, 15, 16, you were trying to pick up some girls and...
No. We listened mostly to heavy metal music.
Oh, yeah.
And still do to this day.
Very into the metal.
Wow. But also growing up, my dad would play a bunch of classic rock, some prog, and then, of course, trip-hop, such as Portishead. The Dummy record. I heard that so many times growing up. I loved it. So
yeah, I'm going to be interviewing a couple of Portishead member in November.
Oh, nice!
Very cool.
Yeah, she's very nice, and she used to, the main lead singer used to do a little bit with a guy called, I think, Rusty Man or I don't know.
Yeah, Rusty Man. Back in 2002, she did that Out of Season album.
Yeah, which is very good. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that album.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a hold of him as well, but he's very shy. He doesn't do that many interviews. So it takes a couple of interviews three emails to convince the guy. And I read somewhere that you guys like Hooverphonic as well. That's right.
Oh yes, I'm a big Hooverphonic fan, and it's one of my biggest influences when it comes to writing music with TrancEnd. So
yeah, good for you, man. Yeah, that's a very great. I was able to interview Alex a couple of months ago, and I have interviewed former lead singer from the band, and the other one is coming next month as well. They're a great band, man.
Yeah, they are.
Alex told me when I talked to him for like 2 hours, he told me the story about the track, how came by an accident, and they became very popular, early in life with the first album, which is Unheard,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's a great band. So eventually, right? You guys were in any band in high school? You were listening to music. We want to say, well, let's form a band. All of you were in 3 different bands, or you want to keep it in the family, so to speak.
We all played in the same band together. Our first band ever was a death metal band.
Yeah.
So, wow. I remember our very first gig we ever played back when we used to live in Michigan. We actually opened up for Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah. Wow.
It's a pretty cool experience, and yeah, we did that for several years, and then that band kind of broke up, and so I did a couple other metal bands before I decided to do TrancEnd, because then I wanted to do something that wasn't heavy metal music for once, and my love for trip-hop music like Portishead and Hooverphonic. It was my love for those bands and those albums I listened to, especially like their first albums, which are some of my favorites, that kind of inspired me and wanted me to write something different. And so,
got it. And eventually, you guys finished high school. Any sort of pressure from your parent to like saying, well, forget about music. You're not going to, although they were musicians, forget about music. You're not making any money. It's a crazy lifestyle. Go to college, man, go to law school or engineer and forget about music, or no, or you were free to do whatever you wanted.
Our parents were very supportive.
Supportive since day one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they just always supported that we wanted to do music for the rest of our lives, and they've been very supportive of that. So they're like, just do what makes you happy. So
yeah, is it difficult at the beginning? You guys are very young to start. I mean, before the time before you record that album, which is great, by the way, and it was difficult to make a living. I mean, I imagine, right? That so you were working a part-time job while you trying to put that album together, or?
This is actually really our full-time job.
Okay.
So the three of us have a genetic condition with our eyes, and basically we're slowly going blind. So we're not able to drive and all that. So we're kind of have a lot of time here to work on music.
Yeah.
Condition. We genetically inherited it from our mother. Like it's super rare. Like,
wow, never.
She didn't even know that she carried it.
Yeah.
So really, the first thing that manifests in your early childhood is loss of night vision. So we're severely night blind, and of course that doesn't really help us. Going into some of these venues, they're playing. They're often really dimly lit, so we have a bit of trouble finding our way around, and we usually need a little assistance.
Yeah.
And the other thing is the loss of peripheral vision. So we're basically, tunnel vision, really. Even in the day, it's hard. But for me, really, personally, hard for me to kind of navigate confidently, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I have such a limited range, field of vision. But for, I don't know how long now, maybe the past 6 or 7 years now, we've been going to this eye institute in Miami to be a part of the study that's specifically on this condition. And we actually ended up getting into the clinical trials for this treatment that was supposed to hopefully stop the progression of the vision loss. So we all had surgery on our eyes. It was like a gene therapy type of thing.
Yep.
We're almost done with that study now. I think we have to go back there one more time in this December, January, and then we're done with that study. But every time we go, doctor says everything looks good, looks stable. We'll see you in 6 months.
But you see the improvement, before and after treatment or therapy, and or still it's limited compared to where you were, a couple years ago.
I wouldn't say it's better, but hopefully, stable. They always say, "Oh, it's looking stable." So I don't think it's necessarily gotten any worse.
That's good.
That's the hope.
Yeah. No, I imagine that it's difficult to make a living, right? But you gotta in life, I suppose. You gotta follow what you like and then do what makes you happy, and be good at it, I suppose, and make a living, So, like I say many times, I don't play an instrument. I don't know how to read music, but I've been listening to music 2 hours a day at least for the last 50 years. I have a huge music collection, that furniture there, and 3 floors full of music. So I'm an engineer, but music makes me happy. I see. I since I live in the border with Washington D.C. and Maryland, every band come this way, as you know, and I'm literally every band come this way. So I'm able to see a lot of gigs. So I'm very fortunate that people don't have the opportunity to do that. So you guys were formed before the record in during the COVID or so, right? Like 2-3 years ago, right? You decided to, well, let's put this band together. Let's start writing ideas and eventually create like a record. That's what the ideas at the beginning, right? So
Well, I formed it by myself originally before I
yeah,
had these two jump on board. It was
yeah,
back in December of 2019, so right before the pandemic happened.
yeah,
And yeah, I'm like, yeah, I want to write an album and let's see what I can come up with. And
yeah,
so it took me 2, maybe 3 months. I wrote over 20 songs, almost 30, and then I narrowed it down to 13 that I thought was a good fit for the album.
yeah,
And I wrote the music by myself, 100%. Just sat in my room, closed the door, and just started creating.
yeah.
And
And then how you were able to convince your partners in crime?
well, they're my brothers, and we
Yeah.
love doing music together. So
All right. Yeah,
it takes them no convincing. So
yeah. So eventually, right? So you after you wrote the music, you did the nowadays, with a good computer and software, you can edit and create everything. It's not like it used to be back in the day where you needed an expensive or going to a studio or record engineer. So you guys did kind of pretty much on your own. You received the help for a recording engineer or was done everything at home.
Yeah, we just do it all here at our home studio. I do all the recording, mixing, mastering, producing.
Yeah.
I spent years like learning that.
Yeah.
So yeah, really convenient. Saves us a ton of money from going into a studio.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, we were able to really take our time with it and kind of iron everything out and got it pretty much like what we wanted it to sound like. It actually kind of started a little bit differently with the way he wrote it. He originally had in mind like that trip hop sound they use, make heavy use of like samples.
Yeah.
From like other songs and like kind of like the really cheesy like drum machine type sounds and loops. But as we were going forward with it, practicing the songs, I was like, well, why don't we try like real drums instead of these like fake cheesy loops and samples. So it kind of turned more into that, and I guess that's probably more where the prog element kind of came.
Yep.
Yeah. A bit of like a more human, like organic sound.
Got it. And then so when the album was done, you start shopping that album around to see if a record label would pick it up, or you guys pretty much decided to do it yourself and create. Nowadays, it's not that difficult, I suppose, right? To create a CD or CDR, right? And once you have done all the mastering, and I hire like an artist to do like a cover, that sort of thing. You pretty much went to a record label, or it was done on your own kind of thing?
Totally on our own.
Yeah.
Well, even before, let's go back a little bit. He had all the music written for this. This is before we actually did like the official like recordings, right?
Right.
Thing we were missing was the singer.
That's right.
Didn't have the singer, so he put an ad out on Craigslist, looking for a female singer for this like trip hop project.
Yeah.
And then we got the email response from our singer Brittany. She was actually on Craigslist looking for apartments because she was moving to our area from Oregon with her fiance. And I guess according to her, she figured it would be, a way to meet friends, make friends.
Yeah.
And she actually did have a little bit of musical background. She did some kind of like solo gigs in Florida, where she's originally from. So yeah, she emailed us, she said she had no idea who any of the bands we listed were, influences, Hooverphonic, Portishead, so on. But she's like,
why not, right?
Give it a go.
Yeah.
So yeah, she sent us emails. She gave us a couple like YouTube videos of her performing, and then we gave her a couple of the demos for her to write to. It's like, yeah, just do whatever, send it to us. We'll whatever you come up with, just send it back to us. And she did that, and we thought it was great. Great voice. We thought she'd be the perfect fit. Oh, and here we are. Had an album out now. Once we got her, we got that recorded. Yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately, right? Once you for the band, you release the stuff, COVID hit, right? So even if you have the album ready, it was very, very difficult. Well, for everybody, not just for musicians, but especially for, I suppose, for touring musicians that they want to start playing gigs, show the album around, do some recording, get a hold of certain clubs, and no, everything is stopped. No gig for we have the COVID and people are dying, and man, we live. How difficult it was for you guys during those 2 years?
It was pretty slow. Yeah, really. We didn't play too many shows during those times. Yeah. It was.
And then go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I'm sure we all could relate to it. It's very isolating feeling during those times and all that. So we just spent most of our time just rehearsing, and then just me writing more music, really. So.
Right, and eventually, right, sort of COVID was lifted, so to speak, and you when was that? When you start, kind of, I don't know if you, which way you end up using to promote your music? You were sending to, other record labels or perhaps radio station to start playing your music, or you reach out to get a hold of certain venues and, hey, here's my music, we wanna start touring here and there, and what the trajectory and to make that happen.
Well, when we first released our album, we did a lot of online promoting first, just to get it out there, and then we started contacting some local breweries and venues around here to book some shows, and we've played a lot of shows around here in our hometown, and people love what they hear, and they're blown away, and it's unlike anything they've heard around here.
Yeah, so. Well, yeah. Yeah. No, the album is great, and actually, I'm not surprised that the female singer, when you mentioned, Portishead or Hooverphonic, kind of type of music to attract her or attract, a singer. Not many people know that kind of stuff. I mean,
yeah.
Believe it or not. So the album is called Lilac. Where first of all, what's the name of the band come from? And I suppose, yeah, go ahead. Feel free to elaborate on how the name came together.
Well, honestly,
yep,
our dad came up with that name because we were all sitting around shooting names around, and he just kind of said it because, and then we were all like, "Oh, that sounds really cool. I like that. Let's use that." We took the S out of it and have as the word trance in there because trip hop can be a bit trance and all that. So we thought, all right, let's just spin off of the word transcend a little bit. Let's have the word trance as in trance music, and then capitalize the E so it looks like trance and end in one word. Just make it really fancy and weird.
Yeah. Billy sent me the album, and I listened to that. It's very, very good, man. Especially you guys being, very young, early 20s, and came out with that. Although you grew up in a musical family, right? And then you began writing music for many years. It's very good. It's very, very good. So now that the album is out there, you start sending, I suppose, the CD to different venues and start, playing different venues. What will be the next step? In any way you can start touring here in the DC area and moving out of North Carolina, so expanding your horizon, right? That's the next step, I suppose, right?
Yeah, I believe for next year we're gonna start playing outside of our small circle of cities that we usually play around here and start expanding. Perhaps maybe to like Charlotte, Atlanta, Greenville, Knoxville, stuff like that.
Yeah. Here in Virginia and in DC area, there are many venues, as you know, right? So, of course, they have all the big venues, but there's many smaller and mid-sized venues that you could play. It's a matter of start sending the CD if you have one to different venues, and then try to book some gig, and little by little start expanding your horizon. And I wonder if any record label have approached you to say, well, we like what you hear in the first album. Can we help produce a second one? Because I'm quite sure, you wrote 30 songs or so, you pick the best 13. Quite sure there gotta be good stuff in the other 17 or so, right? Plus, knowing you, I'm quite sure you're writing more stuff as we speak, so.
Yeah. Yeah, there are some other the other songs left out on the album.
Yeah.
They're very similar to the ones that I did put on the record, but at the same time they're kind of different, because I guess that's what, trip hop is, it's very trippy. And besides those shelved tracks, I'm also just been working on writing just fresh new songs at the moment. So
right. And is the idea to release like another album like next year, 2024, or you're not there yet? Okay.
I don't know yet. I'm just writing some songs, and we'll see how it turns out down the road.
Yeah. And then I don't know if you have really like a CD or a vinyl or both, or no, just.
For our album, we have it just a CD format and digital format.
Now, a digital format, right? Yeah. I'm quite sure when you play those venues in North Carolina, suppose like guys like me, come to congratulate you at the end of the show, and then try to get CD or merchandise that bands used to, cover the cost, or going to, one place to another, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and merchandise is very important, right? Like many bands, fewer people buy CDs on vinyl, and bands, try to record the cost of making an album by selling meet and greet, or selling T-shirt or CDs, taking a picture with the band, that kind of stuff. People like me like that kind of stuff. Yeah. So great. And so hopefully we'll see you, here in this area. So as I said before, I really like the album. It's very, very good. And it's I suppose it's very tough at the beginning, because there's so many bands there. What are your strategies, kind of going forward to differentiate for other local bands? And then it's you try to get a hold of other more well-known band to see if you can open for them. And what's the process? It's from a strategy point of view, what are you doing differently that the other bands are not doing in order to promote your music?
Well, it's a good question. Well, I mean,
social media.
We do the social media thing.
Social media. Yeah.
Because that's very important, and just really promote, and having video content is also important for as a band, because people love visual stuff. Besides, the auditory of the music itself, they love visuals as well. So that's very important.
Yeah.
And but yeah, as far as like trying to book gigs opening for bigger, well-known bands, we would just contact whoever books the bands at these places
Yeah.
that are having these bands coming through on tour and see if we could get in and open up for them. So,
But
Got it, man. Yeah.
more often than not, it's like really difficult. Either they're, I don't know, the venues are just straight up aren't interested in booking local acts, opening acts, or, you know, yeah, like touring. Yeah, touring bands usually bring their own support out with them, so that kind of eliminates the need for local openers, which is kind of unfortunate for us. But you know, got to keep pushing, and
Absolutely,
we'll
man.
get
Yeah.
there at some point. It's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, your stuff is, as you said before a couple of times, your stuff is very good. It's just, you need to find the right spot in the music business, try to start playing, you know, bigger and bigger. You know, you go for a coffee shop, I suppose, at the beginning, to, you know, a small club or a small theater, and then take it from there. I mean, if the stuff is good, eventually it will break up into the, you know, bigger venues, and then people start noticing you, and for other bands that they want you to open for them. And hey, even maybe one day Euro-trance you will open for them.
That's
They
right.
don't come here too often, or Portishead, they don't come here.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it will be a good way to do that stuff, man. Don't get discouraged, man. You know, keep on pushing forward. You know, you guys are very good. You have a unique product, and I'm quite sure the next album will be even better. And then now you will have more experience. You know, the house too, and things you're doing. You know, everything at home, and you're a family member. You cannot argue with one another, because otherwise the band is it's finished. So you need to stay cool, and you know, keep on engaging with you know, as brothers, and then create the great music, man.
That's right.
All right, guys. It was very nice talking to you. Good luck to you with the next album, if you do it next year, and you know, feel free to get a hold of me. I would love to see you guys playing live. Hopefully, one day here in Virginia or in the DC area. There are many great venues here. I'm quite sure many people in this area, in DC especially, many people like that kind of music. That shoelace bands, or I don't know, or Everything by the Girl, or Robin Goodyear, that kind of stuff. Liz Fraser, Portishead, Euro-trance as well. So there is a great appetite for that kind of music here, man. So hopefully you guys could make it, man.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
All right. It was very nice talking to you guys. Good luck to you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank you for
us.
having us.
No problem. Thank you.